Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again at KonKon's Cantina podcast. Listen, you know the drill. Major spoilers ahead for The Mandalorian, Disney Plus's original series, Chapter 4, The Sanctuary. Me and the boys get into it deep this week. If you haven't watched the episode, go ahead and pause the podcast, okay? Come back. You can join the conversation at Instagram.com, which is KonKon's Cantina. Also, Facebook.com/KonKon's Cantina. And we got a YouTube now, YouTube.com/KonKon's Cantina. So we got something for you to do for us. If you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review. It truly does help the boosting and the suggesting to other people the podcast, and it helps them see it. Also, we have an email, KonKon'sCantina@gmail.com. You can send us show suggestions, topics. Maybe there's a movie you've loved for a really long time and you want to hear us do a commentary about it. Maybe you want to hear what we have to say about it. Go ahead and send us that. Maybe you have a business, something that you sell. We would love to sponsor you. So send us an email, give us all the info that you want to give us. Without further ado, Mandalorian Chapter 4, The Sanctuary.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
What is up, everybody? Welcome to KonKon's Cantina, the show
back.
where we talk about
Episode 4, or Chapter 4, baby.
we talk about Mandalorian. We like to tell people that we talk about pop culture, but
No, we do.
we do.
Ish.
The pop culture is the Mandalorian, okay?
Right now.
Baby Yoda, it's the crave.
It's the entire internet.
Baby Yoda is so in right now. So, I'm your host, it's KonKon. As always, I am joined by my beautiful co-hosts, and to my left, that is,
Russell Allen, magistrate.
Hey, you remember this week.
and also,
Justin Baker, Jay Bakes.
guys, it's no surprise by now. We are a Cantina podcast, so we're going to go into the Cantina now.
Welcome to KonKon's Cantina. What are you having? But remember, no droids.
This week, I am drinking Carnival by D9 Brewery. This is a sour. It is a passion fruit ale. It is 5.5%, and it's very bitter. The back end is very, very tart. It's almost like a sweet tart, and that's what I like. Russell, what are you drinking?
I'm also drinking a sour. It's a watermelon dragon fruit burst from Wicked Weed Brewing.
Man, we're going to get so much heat for drinking these
I love sours.
fruity
Sours
beers.
are delicious.
It's only slightly fruity. It's got a nice watermelon taste. It's a nice mediocre sour beer.
Justin?
I'm drinking a flagon of Spotchka.
Oh, okay. Getting into it already.
No, I'm
Your
drinking,
teeth are glowing.
I'm drinking a one of my favorite breweries in Tampa, Cigar City Brewing. They had a new beer that I had never seen before in a variety pack, and it's called Space Pope. It's pretty delicious. It's a nice hoppy IPA. It's got some citrus notes. I think it said it had some passion fruit in the flavor profile. I'm really enjoying this.
Well, listeners, thanks again for joining us this week. We're going to have some news talk. We have some things about Disney Plus. Justin is going to get into some more relevant pop culture. And then, of course, we will be getting into our Mandalorian recap. And then at the end of our episode, we didn't talk about it before, but Russell better be prepared because
I'm
it is
prepared.
it is his turn in the poop-covered seat.
It's a real embarrassing story, Connor. You should know all about that.
Well, was I there?
You've heard it, I think.
Oh, okay.
It'll
I
jog your
haven't.
memory.
Well, Russell is going to be telling our embarrassing story. So, with that being said, Justin, what do we got on the news this week?
Well, personally, my number one thing of news is finally, after weeks of complaining, Disney Plus has finally added the most lacking feature that it was missing: continue watching.
Finally.
Exactly. I don't know how it
Hallelujah.
took them that long to put it in there, but it's finally there. Netflix style to continue watching on your main screen.
Now, the question is, have you gotten to the point where Disney asks you about your life choices where you've watched so much that it has to make sure you're still alive?
They're like, there's other sections than Star Wars.
Yeah.
No other sections.
No other sections. They're like, you've watched 6 seasons of Rebels in one day. Take
Dude,
a
I
shower,
did.
dude.
I finished Rebels again. Well, actually, I shouldn't say again. I had watched everything except the first season multiple times, or last season, I should say. And I finally just finished the last season.
Some other news that I want to talk about. John Boyega goes.
Oh my god,
man.
this dodo.
This dude goes on Good Morning America, and in a British accent that I am not going to try to imitate,
Come on.
basically tells us that, yeah, he had a little house party. He had the actual script to Rise of Skywalker underneath his bed. And
Underneath his mattress.
Underneath
So
Oh
the
my
guy
goodness.
has a house party, forgets about it, right? This is the story. He forgets about it, moves, and the cleaning lady finds it. This is what he said on Good Morning.
Finds or steals?
Well, at that point,
That's still because
what's
if
the
you're,
it on
difference?
eBay is what
you're
she
taking
does.
it and you're throwing it up on eBay and it's only going for 85 pesos. I mean, come on.
Didn't last long. Disney put an end to that auction.
That is what happened, right?
Uh-huh.
How do you get, like, I don't know how do you stop that?
Everybody at Disney was calling John, like, "Hey, what happened? Like,
How do they know
how
it was
could
John?
you
Did
do
it say that
this?"
in the
He admitted it.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I know
well-
he admitted it after they found out, but
Well,
Oh,
it was
oh,
John
you mean-
Boyega's script.
I gotcha.
So I don't know how. I mean, I've
I'm
heard
assuming,
before
yeah.
where they actually have different. Every actor or actress gets a different portion of the script. So if something were to happen,
Mhm.
the full script's not going to get leaked. It's only their portion, but it's a good portion. I mean, it's John
One
Boyega.
quarter
Finn.
portion.
You know what really disappoints me? If this script was out there, this means Finn doesn't die. Finn should have died in The Last Jedi. And of course, Rose comes out of nowhere and steals the
Crashes
moment
into
from him. That would have been the best character development. My dude was a stormtrooper. The full circle.
Sacrifice himself for
Yes.
the resistance.
Like, and nobody had, like, okay, Luke died. Han died. But how many times have they told us this saga is not about these legacy characters, it's about these new people, and none of these new people
Right.
have died. There's nothing on the table.
KonKon in 20, 30, no, in 40 years, we're going to get a sequel trilogy, and his son is going to stab him in the heart, and that's how he's going to die.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay.
That's how Finn dies.
Back to news. Something pretty cool. The Mandalorian has now dethroned the king of streaming, Stranger Things, as the most downloaded show in all streaming shows ever.
Right.
And it's done that in days or weeks, I should say. Where Stranger Things, I mean, they're producing their 3rd season, and it just crushed it in 4 episodes.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
There was one more thing we had at news, Justin. I can see it over there on your
Oh
laptop.
yeah, we got some Star Wars news. Everybody here, I think Thrawn is one of our favorite characters, and Timothy Zahn tweeted out a picture of the new cover of his book, and it's going to be a new. It says book 1. I'm assuming there's going to be 3. Most of their series are 3 books, but it's called the Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Ring.
Well, I saw the pre-order picture, not the
Yeah.
one that you have. There's another one that it says the screen art isn't final.
Yeah, this one says this is the final. This is his
Yeah, it
tweet
looks
actually
pretty
says.
final.
After a lot of discussion, we finally have a title for Thrawn Book 1, Chaos Ring. Oh, I guess it does. Oh, yeah, no, here's the cover. There we go. Yeah. So that's the final cover. That's official.
And it's going to be a trilogy. I mean, there's no
yeah,
way.
I think that he pretty much
Timothy
only writes
Zahn loves his
trilogies. I don't
trilogies.
think
Yeah.
anything is less than that.
Yeah.
Do we
Russell-
want to talk a little bit about the time period we think this is going to take place in?
Oh, yeah, we were talking about this while we were watching. We watch the Mandalorian episode each week. We watch it together. We try to watch it a couple times before we get together, and then, yeah. So, was the name of the trilogy isn't officially released though? Or it is called Thrawn Ascendancy.
Thrawn Ascendancy, and then smaller letters underneath it. It says Chaos Ring. So I'm assuming the series is Thrawn Ascendancy, and then this book is Chaos. Oh, Siri's talking.
Siri's talking to us. We have some listeners who probably don't know who Thrawn is. So Thrawn was a very famous Legends character. What that means is when Disney purchased Star Wars, they took all of the books and all this additional content that we had, and they basically said none of this matters anymore.
Nothing except the movies themselves, pretty much.
Yes, and a few books that had come out. Like, was Lost Stars under Disney?
Lost Stars was after, yeah.
Okay, so everything after, let's just say it's everything after. Basically, it's something that it's material that's still out there, but it's no longer canon. It no longer matters.
So
almost.
I mean, even if you weren't a book reader, the games you remember playing, like Knights of the Old Republic or Shadows of the Empire,
Force Unleashed,
yeah, all of these characters that were massive parts of the
Jedi
Star
Outcast.
Wars. Yeah, like
hashtag bring Kyle Katarn
Kyle
back.
Katarn is one of my all-time favorite characters.
So Thrawn was a Chiz. Now what a Chiz is they are a blue-skinned humanoid. They have red glowing eyes. Dude was super awesome. Anyway, Timothy Zahn has since came out with a trilogy. These books are now canon. They are very good. If you are looking for additional Star Wars content, there it is.
Oh, that wasn't a sound effect. That was real.
Listening to his books, definitely worth your time. So he's coming out with a new book. We think that this is a prequel trilogy, and I think if we get too much into it, it's gonna go over most people's heads.
The one I love Thrawn, he's freaking amazing. But my only nitpick with this is we already have an entire trilogy of Thrawn. I would have liked to have, if they're gonna continue bringing bits and pieces of Legends or EU back into Star Wars, I would have liked to see him kind of broaden out and maybe bring another character that we loved.
Timothy is so good. I want him to do something besides Thrawn.
Yeah, I mean he does Thrawn amazing, but
Yeah.
But to hear Mark
We already
Thompson's
got-
Thrawn one more time would
it's
be...
amazing. He does
The
Mark
writing,
Thompson is the best
the writing is so
voice
good.
actor.
The audio is amazing. I think the trilogy did it. You know, as me and you were talking, Russell, I liked the first book the most still because it was the most of Thrawn.
Yeah,
But
it was the
anyway.
best. I think the best story. The second one was cool because you got to see Vader and Thrawn, and Anakin and Thrawn both interacting together and kind of bouncing between timelines, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, we have a question that we're going to answer. So that question, we'll see how this goes. If you could vacation at any Star Wars planet, where would you vacation? So we each did a little bit of research. We each picked a planet. We came together to make sure that we weren't picking the same planet. So I can go first, unless
Go for it.
All right.
Go
So,
ahead.
as made famous in The Force Awakens, the second planet that Rey ever sees, Taku-Dana. Now, Taku-Dana is the planet that Maz, her castle is on.
Maz Kanata.
Maz. Where's that Wookiee? Chewie's checking the Falcon. I like that Wookiee.
She loves her some Wookiee.
She loves her some Chewie. This planet, if you look at the picture on Wikipedia.com or StarWars.fandom.com, even when we are flying to the planet in The Force Awakens, it's very Earth-like. There's a lot of water. There's a lot
Reminds
of land.
me of rainforesty, mountainy kind of a vibe to
I
it.
didn't know there was this much green in the entire universe.
There it is. And so I picked this planet because it was earthy. One thing that I noticed when I was reading about this planet is it didn't say that it had oceans. It only says lakes.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Also, there is no moon to this planet. So
how does
no
it have
tides,
tide?
no oceans,
Interesting.
So
what made you like that as a thing that you wanted to see?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I misspoke. It did have oceans. It just didn't go into detail on the oceans. Like the planet is mostly
Tideless oceans.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Must
there's
be
no
very
moons.
dark at night too if there's no moon.
Yeah, exactly. So I picked it because of lots of hiking. You know, it kind of I imagine like this would be
Cool
similar
camping
to
trip almost.
yeah to like well, and we play on Taku-Dana in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah, that is a.
Yeah, so Maz's castle is one of the maps that you can play on. So you're running through as the First Order of the Resistance or the Empire as the Rebellion, and it's it's very wooded. It's kind of like Red Forest,
So you're kind of
California.
going for like a nature getaway vacation.
Oh yeah, I want to be on some cool lake. I want to skip stones. This is like I said, this is vacation. I'm drinking all the cool drinks that I can get in Maz's castle. I'm picking up side jobs, I don't know. Maybe I'm washing some starships on the side. I don't know.
Trying to jumpstart your pod racing career.
Exactly. If I would yell this is pod racing, but there's another podcast that does that and I just can't. But that would be the most perfect time to do that anyway. Justin, I did like your pick. Do you want to tell us about your pick?
Yeah, I'd spent a lot of time, and at first I was going to say Naboo because I mean in the prequels it's kind of looked like it's a gorgeous planet. It's super pretty and there's water and green. But I decided to shift my entire thought pattern. I went for Coruscant. And what my thought was, if I'm going to visit a Star Wars world, I want to get as much in as I can. This is like the Mecca, the center, the core of the entire Star Wars universe. So much fun and so much trouble to get into if you went to Coruscant.
Do you think Coruscant has trailer parks?
I feel like it would
They're
be
floating trailer parks.
I feel like it could be like Fifth Element-y, like where Corbin Dallas lives in Fifth Element.
Yeah.
All right, next episode.
I am a meat popsicle.
We need to totally have next episode. We're gonna have an
Go, my
elevator.
man! Go, man!
Go back! We're gonna have an elevator. We're gonna have an elevator pitch on like a Star Wars show. Like if you could make your own Star Wars show,
What it would be.
what it would be, an elevator pitch. So like Trailer Park Boys,
That would be.
Trailer Park Boys
We-
at. Anyway,
Was 1313, was that in Coruscant? Now
Yes.
that was, yeah. So there's like your
It's-
trash.
scrapped.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
No, but no, that's like the level of Coruscant. Like 1313 was
yeah,
the level.
lower
Yeah.
level. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so my whole thought process was I can see,
Coruscant seems dangerous though.
but not all of it.
Like, are you
I mean,
rich?
you got the whole rich area.
Well,
you
that's
got
what I'm
the-
saying. Are
the
you
Senate.
rich?
Are you checking out the Jedi Temple when you're on this vacation?
I got history. I love history. I can see Jedi Temple
What era
ruins.
are you going to Coruscant in?
I think it could be cool any era.
Yeah.
Because if you go pre-Empire and the Senate is there and the Jedi Temple is there, if you go afterwards, it would just be ruins.
As long as you're not there, yeah. As long as you're not there when Malgus attacks and destroys everything, I think you're good.
Oh yeah.
I can imagine it as like the New York City, Manhattan type of a vibe, but
See, I
way bigger.
hate downtown New York.
But there's so much to do.
You guys are comparing Manhattan with Coruscant.
It's the closest thing we
That's
have.
the closest thing, I guess.
I
think it would.
None
be
of us have been to Tokyo.
It would be
It's true.
the most Star Wars things you can experience in one place. More life forms, more.
Can you imagine going bar hopping in Coruscant?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yes, that
Cantina
would be
hopping.
good.
You'd get lost.
Just don't go to the underworld.
You'd
Get
have some
lost.
changeling run into the back of you, like, Russell.
All right. Well, this planet was first introduced in 1978 on a certain Star Wars holiday special, a year after A New Hope was released. It is now considered part of canon. It was a certain holiday called Life Day, where we got to meet a beloved character and his family. Yes, that planet is Kashyyyk, the homeworld of the Wookiees and Chewbacca, our beloved
All of
Chewbacca.
The Roshar trees.
So if I could visit Kashyyyk during Life Day and meet Chewie's wife and his kids and
His
just live in
son.
their little tree house, not live, but visit their little tree house. And
Didn't she have like a apron on and everything?
oh man, it was terrible.
We need to rewatch that. We need to watch the.
Dude,
we need to do an
Yeah,
episode.
we should rewatch those.
It was the most 70s Warshik tree house I've
should-
ever seen.
Is that's when I can't remember if it's a commercial or if it is the holiday special where Luke like literally Kool-Aid Man busts through a wall. You know what I'm talking about? Like he literally
I don't
busts through a
remember
wall and C-3PO and R2 are behind him. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, Kashyyyk has been made famous by a lot of video games. You visit Kashyyyk and Knights of the Old Republic, which is the best Star Wars video game ever
Star
to
Wars
be.
Galaxies is the best. Fight me.
We visit Kashyyyk in the latest Star Wars game, Fallen Order, which absolutely gorgeous
Yeah,
landscapes.
they did a great job.
Spoiler warning for Fallen Order: you fly on the back of this like Kashyyyk one of a kind bird thing. It's very Avatar Banshee riding on the back of a Banshee.
It was very Avatar.
It was incredible.
owned by
So if I
Disney.
could do all of that on my vacation
You're set.
and then build a lightsaber, sure, why not? Let's do
And
it.
yeah, and you did pick an elemental at Galaxy's Edge, so that is fitting.
Yep.
Well, how about we save the Fallen Order for next week? Let's give the people a little bit more time.
Yeah, Russell and I both have finished Fallen Order now, so we're going to talk about that, but
Yeah.
we'll do it next week.
And
We're
I'm not
also
done.
good.
I'm
Sorry.
not done watching my cutscenes either. So,
We're also maybe this is a I don't know. We might talk a little bit about the new book.
Yeah, we're thinking about
Force
doing
Collector.
a little bonus episode that might not be very long, but we're just going to get into some stuff on the Force Collector book because we got a lot to say on that.
Both
could do a
Justin and I
full-
finished it, and we just were
He
texting
told
back
me.
and forth nonstop
He
about
told me.
everything that.
I had to know.
I gave Connor the Cliff Notes.
I
here
had
we
to
go.
know.
Spoilers for
I had to
Connor.
know.
He doesn't care.
You said it was just as good as Lost Stars, so I might still I might
It
still
is
get
very
it.
good. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's as good, but it's close. It's very good.
If it's close, that's high praise because Lost
It's got
Stars
some
is.
implications
It does.
created in this book, which could be really cool or could be super annoying.
Well, look out for that. So we'll do that on a bonus episode. So chapter 4, Mandalorian, entitled Sanctuary. So once again, we go through our Lucas cold open where we're getting our buckets. We are then brought to a scene where we appear to be underwater, and we have shrimp-like creatures,
Blue
blue scrimp, floating around, which we later find out are called krill. We are then panning out, and we have an entire village, and in this village we have our villagers, and they are farming and taking up these krill that they obviously use for their family to eat or sell or whatever it is they do, and we are met by thunder sounds. A look of alarm come across our farmers. They begin to panic, and then laser fire comes from the tops of the trees. We have one of our second female characters named Omera. She rushes over to the aid of her children as orc-like alien creatures start to ravage our farmers. Now, this is the same planet that our Mando is going to pick later in the episode.
What was the name of this planet again? I didn't write it down.
Planet Sorgon.
Sorgan. The chieftain of this alien race then comes and sees the spoils that him and his comrades are taking. We then get a cutscene of Armando and our Baby Yoda flying through space, and it appears that our Baby Yoda is now in it. We had this conversation was way too long. We literally had a conversation of how old do we think Baby Yoda is.
Yeah.
Connor and I are on one side of the fence. Russell's on the other.
We're talking about a difference of maybe 5 years. Okay, you're thinking he's like 4 to 5. I'm thinking he's like 10 to 12.
I made like
equivalent of a toddler in his species.
I made like a terrible twos joke.
Yeah, but it's true because I have 2 girls. They've both gone through those ages, and they are at the toddler. I'm going to test the limits and see exactly what I can get away with, even after I'm told not to do something. That is straight up how Yoda is acting. Pressing buttons and just wreaking havoc on the Razor Crest.
That's what we were saying. He literally like pressed the button while he was looking at he said, "Don't touch that," and he just touched it while he was looking at him.
Big old Yoda eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Russell is on a different page. Russell thinks he's older. Why do you think that he's older, Russell?
Well, me and my sister Becky, I'm going to cut down on the number of shout-outs for this episode, but shout out to my sister Becky. We were talking in the car yesterday about his age and how Yoda has trouble with the language basic. Okay, obviously, he speaks backwards and messes up, jumbles words. So it's possible that his species, or Yoda, Baby Yoda, can understand everybody's speech, which is basic in that galaxy. But, he doesn't quite know how to say or voice anything quite yet. And maybe his species speaks or communicates with each other through the Force or telepathically.
Spoken word is not
exactly
their first thing that they're concerned with learning.
So
that makes sense.
So the spoken word could just be learned so they can communicate with non-Yoda species people or species.
I still think beyond the talking, I think it's just his shenanigans that he pulls that makes me think of a little 3-year-old, a 2-year-old.
Right.
So as our Yoda continues to be a toddler or teenagers, whatever our little Baby Yoda is going through, our Mandalorian warmly coins him his little womp rat, which totally calling my dog a womp rat now. He finds the planet Sorgon by searching through a database of what appears to be his nav computer to find uninhabited planets where they won't cause trouble. They won't find Imperials, and they won't find other things that could bring them harm. After landing, Armando gives our Baby Yoda almost instructions as he's a little puppy in training to stay on the ship, to not touch anything, to stay put.
Don't you do it, Baby Yoda.
Don't move.
And just like anybody that's listening to this has trained a puppy, that is not what happens.
No.
Our Baby Yoda follows our Mando out. Armando then goes to the town's localing water hole, or the bar.
Cantina.
And Cantina.
Literally the name of the show.
Literally, yes, thank you. And we meet pretty much the happiest person we've ever met in this entire show.
Before that, we get to see something amazing for the first time.
Oh, yeah. Well, not the first time.
The first time, not in a cartoon.
Yes.
Well, keep in mind, we've seen it at Galaxy's Edge, of course.
No.
Not everybody listening has had the
Rip Justin.
Listen,
Fortune to visit.
listen, Justin. Okay, so in Galaxy's Edge in the market, they have the pet store.
Just so everybody knows, we're talking about a Lothcat from Lothal, which was introduced in Rebels.
Yeah, we were getting there. So in the pet store, in the very center, they have an actual cage on a table, and they have an animatronic Lothcat.
Sleeping
And
with his tail wagging.
He moves his he moves his head, he moves his tail,
but his eyes don't open.
He said, I don't even care. They make noises.
Someone is jealous.
It's cool. It's cool. So
I don't even like Lothcats.
They're
love
stupid.
Them. I want to pet one.
So what does our Lothcat do, Justin?
No, he gives the teeth.
He does.
Oh, he
gives the
doesn't like
teeth in
Iota.
He does not like Iota looking at him.
So our happy-go-lucky waitress walks up to Armando, obviously, to serve him. Armando asks about the female assailant that he sees across the bar. One of my favorite parts in the episode because it proves like how of a backwater planet
she
we're
does
at.
not understand what he's doing.
Naivety.
She is not smelling the smoke from the fire he's making. Like he flips her a credit and she's just like, "Oh my god, thank you.
I'm gonna go get you some food and a brew."
You know what? Flagon of spatula for you.
Yeah, she had never seen a tip so generous. So she gives him absolutely no information. He then notices that this assailant is gone. He proceeds to track her with Predator heat vision. Do not be confused, folks. This is totally...
Oh, yeah.
It's just
Thermal
Predator heat
tracking.
vision. Yeah, it's just Predator heat vision. Okay, no. This is probably something new as we...
Pretty cool tech.
Yeah, we were talking about this during the episode. He uses his gauntlet to activate this. So this is probably some new tech that he got with his...
Upgraded with his new set of armor.
Yeah, his HUD readout. He then proceeds to get his Beskar steel handed to him by our Cara Dune, our former Imperial shock trooper, and now, we don't really know what she's doing in life. She's hiding out, is what she's doing.
Well,
This
she was
brings me-
a rebel too. So.
This is an amazing fight scene, and I like that our boy kind of got it handed to him. He did not come out on top. Even though it was a draw, he definitely was not winning that fight.
There was a couple moments where you're like, oh man, he's getting his butt handed to him.
But why does this chick straight bare knuckle punch him in the Beskar helmet multiple times?
Because MMA fighter Gina Carano don't care.
And his head be rattling in that helmet.
My God, could you imagine punching a solid Beskar steel helmet?
That would hurt.
It hurts to punch through a sheet of drywall if there's not even a
She's used
stud
to punching
behind you.
stormtroopers probably, so not quite as hard.
I feel like it's a poor choice of where to strike someone.
I love when she was like punching him in the helmet. We kind of had like the ka-ting, like we had a literally ringing his bell. So as Russell pointed out, it does lead to a stalemate, and as we have the stalemate, both our Mando and our Rebel shock trooper find themselves being stared at by Baby Yoda sipping his bone broth. Cara Dune and Armando then sit down to talk about where she's been and what they've done and what have brought them there. Cara Dune explains how she got there, about her former life as a Rebel shock trooper. She brings out that it became too political and she doesn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, she kind of got hung out to dry. Is the vibe I got from that. Is she was trained and brought up and to be this elite killer, and just kind of became like a bodyguard to politicians and was done with that life.
Yeah, for sure. We then get a shot of two of our farmers traveling in the night, and this was brought out to me, and I agree. This was like one of the best shots in the whole episode.
Yes, it was.
We kind of have
on
this
the boat going up to the
they're
ship.
in that little speeder, and we have this like third person point of view, and it's dark, and the
poster worthy shots.
Yeah, the Razor crest is lit up, and our two farmers then proceed to try to hire Armando, very Three Amigos-esque, to have him come to their city and defeat the famous El Guapo.
Excuse me, El Guapo.
They then explain to him that they're krill farmers. They don't have that much money. He hears him say that they are removed far away, that they live far out, and that they have lodging. He then takes the money that they offered. Yeah?
I hate the one dude. I told you guys this while we were watching it. The longer-haired guy. I don't know why. He rubs me the wrong way.
He's from The Office.
You said that before. Who was he in The Office?
I can't picture him in the office.
He's the gas station attendant that when Jim has to leave him at the gas station because
he was locked in the bathroom.
Because he
yeah.
was in the bathroom. Yeah,
and Jim's baby was locked in the car.
Yeah,
right.
His mother-in-law accidentally locks the Cecilia in the car.
Okay, you said he's from The Office, and
huge
I'm like,
Office at fans.
I am
here.
like racking my brain trying to think about him.
Who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, I hate him.
You hate him. Well,
I don't know.
Hey,
the whole episode, he rubs me the wrong way.
he steps up to the occasion later.
He does what he does, man. He got Armando to help him defend their little town. So,
and that's what he does. He hears about the lodging. He takes them. He takes their credits. He then gives these credits to Cara Dune to help him at this village. We arrive at the village.
The Shire.
The Shire.
it's the Shire.
Completely. We have what we see as the most peaceful and simple life besides the villagers, or the people that are raiding the village that we're going to take care of later. The music in this scene
Great.
depicted peace and
Serenity.
Yeah.
And I heard some underlying A New Hope tones, like kind of mixed just into the background of it, just to give you that peace vibe. At least that's what I heard.
Yeah. So then we move on into Omera, our main village female that we saw in the beginning of the show, a.k.a. Pocahontas. Pocahontas is giving Armando basically the tour of his little hut. She is giving him
Our
food.
well-mannered Mando.
Oh my gosh, all the manners.
All of the manners.
She
He's
gives
such
him
a nice guy.
the blanket,
Thank
the
you.
food,
That was very kind.
all the yeses. I'm surprised we didn't hear a yes, ma'am. Okay. So Omera asks him about his helmet. Armando then peers out into the village where the little children are playing with Baby Yoda. And he says that he hasn't taken off his helmet since he was about their age. And I took their age to be somewhere between 8 and 10.
I haven't taken that helmet off in a long, long time.
Omera continues to talk to Armando about him
Obi-Wan.
taking off his...
Yeah, we got it.
Thank you. Taking off his helmet. Daughter Winta.
Winter.
Not to be confused with Sama,
Right.
but Winta.
My name is Summer, not Winter.
Asked to play with Baby Yoda.
And
Our protective father was like, let me stay where I can see you.
Yeah. And
I love the new crib.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch that?
Yeah.
They had the
A
time.
little
Here's a
bassinet.
crib.
Yeah, literally. And I like this scene too because Mando, just like you were saying, Justin, he's apprehensive about.
Yeah, he's a protective father.
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
doesn't want.
He's nesting.
He doesn't. He's already put his life on the line a couple of times for Baby Yoda, and he doesn't. But Omera steps in, and the seasoned mother that she is says,
He'll be fine.
dude, he'll be fine.
And she listened, or he listened. Mando.
Yeah. So, Mando and Cara Dune, our female rebel shock trooper, begin to track their soon-to-be foes. Justin,
Can I back up 1 second?
back it.
We were talking about how she was asking him about taking off the helmet. This leads to when he says, the Mandalorians took me in.
Yeah.
Just to back it up, is this then confirming that our boy is not a Mandalorian by blood? Or do we think that he is a Mandalorian and this tribe, the Hasidic Mandalorians, as we are calling them, who do not remove their helmets at all, take him in and then are basically like a foster family for him?
Right.
Yeah, so we did talk about that briefly. As Russell pointed out in our last episode during Chapter 3, the handles on the doors looked very Mandalorian.
We're talking about the hatch that his
Yeah,
parents put him
that he-
into
yeah.
for the battle droid.
architecture and the design.
And I've had several conversations with a buddy of mine, Chris, and what we've talked about is, he's not a Mandalorian, he is a Mandalorian. But the beautiful thing about Mandalorians is just because you're not born on the planet Mandalore doesn't mean that you can't be a Mandalorian. You can adopt the culture, the way of life.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in time, if you're familiar or you're caught up with Clone Wars, there's the planet Mandalore, and then there's a faraway moon. Not a faraway, but it's the moon of the planet Mandalore.
Yeah.
There are two Mandalorian people. There are the peaceful Mandalorian people. This is
And
like a
then we
new
got
reign
Our
Right.
where,
extremists.
yeah, like the
They're
majority
pacifists.
Yeah,
we got
pacifists.
pacifists on the planet, extremists on the moon.
So at this point in time, they haven't joined either side, the separatists or the Republic side. They're complete pacifists.
Yeah. So this could be our Mandalorian was literally just born on the planet Mandalore, making him a Mandalorian
Mm-hmm.
by definition, but was born into a life of being a pacifist and was not a warrior like most people know Mandalorians by. But regardless, I'm sure we'll get that question answered.
I because originally you said for sure he 100% has to be because of how he took that fall.
He better
off of
be.
the sand crawler, and then we were kind of questioning everything. Maybe he's not. So this is still. I think it's an issue that they're purposely kind of letting you not know what he's going to be.
Yeah, and again, going back to the flashback scenes where you see them running for their lives when the Separatists are attacking, and you see the B-2 super battle droids. One thing about Mandalore that we learned from Clone Wars, which is canon, that Mandalore, after centuries, a millennia of war, Mandalore is uninhabitable. So each city on the planet, they basically are living in these bubbles or these biospheres. And again, they didn't really pan up to see the sky, but didn't really look like they were in a biosphere type city. So who knows if this is anything, but it's just another side point that I thought of.
And we already have a second season of the show coming out. So
already being shot, not even like in works, like it's already being shot.
So all these questions, if we don't get them answered by the end of this season, I mean, we have a whole nother season.
All right.
So our Mandalorian and Cara, they are trekking through the woods. They are tracking their soon-to-be foes when they notice the footprint of an AT-ST, as made famous by the movie Return of the Jedi in 1983. We've noticed that these two-legged Imperial walkers can cause lots of damage.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're an Ewok and you have trees and
giant
bows and
logs
arrows and flying
and traps. And we're gonna get
were
to that.
AT-STs not an Empire in the Hoth attack?
They were, but I want to say
there's one scene where you can see one walking, like
but
really
I want to say
split
that's
second.
I want to say that's the
Special edition.
Yes.
I don't remember. I feel like,
but there is one where he's walking. Even remember
the old VHS that we recorded. Remember in our Star Wars saga that I grew up watching. I'm pretty sure that AT-ST was in the background. Yeah.
Remember too. What's the game that we all used to play at Chuck E. Cheese?
I remember Shadows of the Empire playing.
No, you're talking about the X.
I'm talking about
game,
the
Rogue Squadron game where you would shoot the
big arcade
cable
one,
and then like you would fly around and tie their feet up.
Even in the Hoth battle on that game, there was AT-STs and AT-ATs. Yeah, there were
more AT-ATs.
At. Don't at me.
Don't at it.
Were you at?
So the Mando and Cara begin to give the bad news. You can't live here anymore.
I got a question before we skip. Where do you think this AT-ST came from? Do you think this is something that is a Imperial leftover on the planet, or do you think that now that the Imperial has fallen, these are just going on black market where like any group of raiders can just buy an AT-ST?
It could have come from there. Like you said, the black market. Solo was literally based around them stealing an AT-AT hauler or AT-ST hauler. Remember, that's what they were there to do the job for.
I did not even think about that.
Yeah, isn't that what that is? What that that.
I just remember
that ship
fuel
that they
were stealing.
Well, they used it to steal it because it could carry the amount of weight. But it could have come from.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as a cool Empire fell, and now all of their armories and their weapons are just up for grabs.
Right.
Yeah. They explain to the villagers that the best course of action is to move away. They need to get all their junk, and they need to go away.
Armando has no...
where did the manners go?
Oh, yeah. You need to move.
You need to move.
You can't live here.
Bad news. You can't live here
And he's
anymore.
like, so you can do better? It's like, well, I can't do worse.
So they're completely unwilling to move. The villagers then begin to be trained to fight against these people.
So when I was watching this, from the very first scene of seeing that peaceful, what are they called? Krill villagers, krill farmers, and just the music, and then seeing the two, the krill farmers come up to our man and ask him for help. Up until this point, it was a callback to Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. Which Akira Kurosawa was a Japanese director, filmmaker for 57. His career spans 57 years, 30 films. His hallmark film was Seven Samurai. George Lucas himself
straight up ganked.
Hidden Fortress was another great movie. There's two guys that are walking through the wilderness in Japan, which are complete identical to C-3PO and R2-D2 walking.
Character models of Vader's and his helmet.
Right. So all that stuff. So this is a callback to that filmmaker, which again, I mean, Seven Samurai inspired a lot of films throughout the years. My father-in-law, Steve Canton, he said that it also inspired movies like The Magnificent Seven and A Bug's Life. And that's just 2. There's many.
Dude,
many
somebody
movies.
posted a GIF of Bug's Life today in a Mandalorian thread on Facebook, and
Well,
I
there
was
you
like,
go.
"What?" I was like,
Yep.
well, "How does?" I was like,
we
I
haven't
didn't even
seen that movie recently. Apparently, it's very similar to this.
Yeah, I didn't even understand the reference. I was like, okay, I was having anyway.
I want a gritty live action Bug's Life.
So besides Kurosawa, we also apparently had much of Mulan inspiring this
there you go.
episode.
My favorite thing in any movie, a solid montage.
Of all the people being trained to fight. Cara Dune is training our people to use spike like staffs, and Armando asks if anybody can shoot. The only person that seems to raise their hand is Omera. Pocahontas. And she is deadly accurate. He gives her a rifle.
Where she learned to shoot, I wonder.
I know. Because they do say she's a widow later. I wonder, like, is she off planet or is she like, what's her whole story? It's pretty cool.
Well, hopefully
like,
she didn't learn to shoot from her husband because she's a widow. So we don't
So
know.
do you
Maybe she
think-
shot her husband. She's actually a murderer.
So it's sort of like our clone doctor. We said last week in our episode
It's
that
Camino Patch.
yeah, his Camino Patch doctor, this John Lennon glasses doctor, we're gonna see him again. You both said that you feel like we're not gonna. We haven't seen the last
He
of
cared
him.
too much about Iota.
All right, so same question for Amara, our Pocahontas. Do you feel like we're gonna see her again in this season, or perhaps in the future?
Hopefully, because we're gonna get into
I
it
don't
later.
know. I think she's.
You think it's over?
I think it's over
She's
for
a
her.
throwaway character.
I hope not.
They had some sparks.
There was some
her and our
chemistry.
man. They had some sparks. There was a moment right before Kira walked up where it looked like she was gonna kiss his helmet or something.
Skipping
And
ahead.
that was we found out that the race of these invaders are called
Are orc?
Klatunians.
Klatunians.
Klatunians. Yeah, that's KLATOONINS.
Jokes.
Klatunians.
The trick of the
Stop
trade
saying
there is
Klatunians.
turn on the subtitles. You can find all these little tidbits out.
All I know is I was waiting for somebody to break into song. Let's get down to business to defeat the Klatunians. You're the saddest group of krill farmers, so come on, pack up your food. Mister, I'll make a Mando out of you.
Solid.
All right. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I
Thank
will
you.
be cutting this out in post.
Listen,
and
I've
adding
been
music
trying to do that all
Can we
day.
please? I mean, are you gonna sing that a cappella? Or are we gonna add music in post?
Oh no,
'Cause
we're gonna have to add music. Yeah, and then cut all this part out.
just make
later.
it super background so they
Yeah.
know what movie that's from.
Okay. Let's give a nice little pause. So we are then going through the forest, and 2 of our Klatonians get jumped by Kara and Mando. They then fight their way through the tent, fighting multiple of them. They plant a bomb. They then continue to have fist fights. Finally, some blasters.
Punching him in the
are
dang
gone.
helmet again.
Again. She does not care.
No, not her. It's the
The
Klatunians are
Klatunians
punching
punch
him in the
punch-
helmet.
oh, yeah.
People
Those
like to
Yodos
punch
don't
him
know
in the
what-
helmet.
These people need to learn where to punch.
Punch him
Just
in the
like
neck or
he's
something.
finger jab, like
He's
finger
cut-
jab his neck.
He's
Don't like,
covered in Beskar steel, dude. Like, you're not getting much of anywhere.
He's got.
He
like,
doesn't have a
gaps.
cod piece,
He's-
though.
He doesn't have a cod piece.
Go
He
for
has
the
a-
cod.
He's got gaps. I mean, punch him in his arm, elbow area, or his neck or something.
Listen, these dudes are not the brightest, dude. I
These
mean,
are
they're
Klatunians.
they're
like,
they're robbing krill farmers. Like, they could go rob the cantina.
yeah.
yeah, these dudes are for sure just alcoholics.
I mean, that's where
want
the
their,
liquor comes
they
from.
want
They
their blue
can't-
drink.
Yeah,
They don't want to piss off the bartender.
this is the better blue drink. This is actually what Luke was drinking in A New Hope.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't actually blue milk. So after they blow up this tent, an ATST with a red lit cockpit,
What?
yeah, stands up and begins to chase our heroes through the woods, shooting at
The
them.
most ominous ATST we have ever seen in
Yeah.
live action, animation, or
They're
a video
always
game.
kind of doofusy, like
I know. They walk. They're
dinguses
chicken.
that walk very shaky legged.
Right. Well, and then you have the scene in Return of the Jedi, which is my sister's favorite scene, where the logs are rolling down the
Oh yeah,
hill, and he's like,
whoop,
"Woo,
whoop,
woo,
whoop,
woo,
whoop,
woo,"
whoop.
and he falls over. But they're called chicken walkers, right?
Yeah.
At some point. So they've always looked kind of goofy. But here we have this crazy
red-eyed.
red-eyed, almost like AI or something. What would you say it was? Self-aware? It was a self-aware
it
ATST.
almost seems self-aware the way it acts, which
Yeah,
they
for
never
sure.
ever
I
show
don't think it
any
is,
type of
but
pilot
no.
in it.
So as this ATST continues to chase our Mandalorian and Cara Dune through the forest, a standoff ensues between our villagers and Mando and Cara. But they've trained for this. They know that this was coming. The ATST, however, stops right before the trap that they put. They dug a hole.
This is almost where I was saying that self-aware thing, because he kind of lifts his foot like he's going to go forward, and he's like, and backs it up and stays right on the crest of that water.
Nothing's working. People are almost dying.
Yep.
The Klatooinians start to raid the village. Cara says, "Give me that pulse rifle." A new plan has ensued. Cara then takes a couple of
his
shots.
Rifle over easy. I kind of was surprised about that.
Hey, listen. She almost whooped him earlier. So
Yeah.
I guess she knows what she's doing.
she's a shock trooper. If anybody has taken down ATSTs, it's
and
this
he has
chick.
very good manners.
He does.
He was
Yes,
just like,
ma'am.
okay,
Yes, ma'am.
here you go.
So is this the first time that we've heard someone call it a pulse rifle?
No, it's the Ambin phase pulse rifle. I told you that in episode 1.
Okay, I guess I should listen to our podcast more.
Well, it's weird because when I think of pulse rifle due to Destiny, I always think of a 3-burst.
A 3-round burst.
The 3-round burst rifle, but it can take many forms. She takes one shot, and she's obviously clearly waiting to find her open shot. The eyelids are open. This exposes the driver, which could be 1 or 2, which we have seen
eyeball shot
in Return of the Jedi. We then do see her take a second shot down in the krill pit, and we do see ashes, informing that she has somewhat killed the driver.
And you made a good point, Connor, that her first shot ricocheted off. So his gun is not shooting a projectile laser blast. It's shooting a physical projectile bullet, you could call it, out of the gun.
Something that disintegrates flesh.
Yeah, but it's not, because it bounced off the metal but can disintegrate a body, which is
So it probably
pretty cool.
ricocheted inside of the cockpit until it hit the driver, one of the drivers, right? Because there's
Something.
room for 2.
Yeah.
And it still works after that, right?
Yeah.
So because
Mhm.
someone fired when they fell. Well, yeah. Then he takes the step and then sinks, and then when Mando is running, it fires at him when he's on the ground.
Yeah, well, yeah, and like we saw in Return of the Jedi, when Chewie and the 2 Ewoks land on top of the ATST, there's 2 drivers in there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Chewie rips one of them out. There's still another one.
And then the Ewok jumps in there and starts hitting him on the head.
And they're moving stuff. Chewie's on top, and
Right.
he wobbles. So, like you said, it takes the step forward. It falls down as Mando is running up with his charge thermal detonator. Well, it's not a thermal detonator,
It's
but
a weird musical charge.
I want one.
it's some sort of, obviously it's an explosive. He tosses it into the eye of the ATST, blowing up the ATST. We then have a cut to what appears to be, that we're going to learn multiple weeks later, our baby Yoda, once again, he's eating frogs.
Oh,
That boy
the
loves some
best
frogs.
scene.
His favorite
Also, Baby
food.
Yoda can be embarrassed, we learn.
Oh, yeah. The little kids kind of laugh at him.
They all start poking fun at
Ew.
him, and he like spits the frog
legs
back
are
up
like
out of his
hanging
mouth.
out of his.
He
mouth.
literally threw up. Blech.
And then the frog's like, "I'm out."
Armando wants to leave baby Yoda behind. He knows he's happy.
Yep.
He wants this child. He wants this baby Yoda. He wants him to lead a productive life, a happy life. A conversation ensues between Cara and Armando, where she talks about Pocahontas being a widow, and he could stay there and take off his Beskar steel and
Right.
just live this life.
Well, she
And then
asks him.
in the background, when it's taking a shot at Mando, and he takes a look over at Baby Yoda, you just notice that there's all like 6 of the little kids and Baby Yoda straight torturing krill on the ground
Yeah,
in the dirt.
Just throwing these shrimp
Like,
out of the
just
water.
watching them die in
Yeah.
the dirt as they laugh.
Well, yeah, and then Kara, she asks our man if what would happen if you take that helmet off, and he proceeds to say, "Well, I could never put it back on." So we assume that means that he'd have to basically leave the Hasidic Mandalorians.
This
the
is
clan.
not a Mandalorian thing. This is their
Right.
specific tribe.
Right, again, because we had Sabine and Rebels taking off her mask left and right, and other
The entire
Mandalorians.
planet, the whole
Right.
clan Ren.
And Death Watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the way for their Hasidic Mandalorian tribe. So what's the worst that could happen?
He can't put it back on.
Right.
Well, at least without
Only he
some
would know. though.
dishonor
I
of
mean,
some sort,
really,
you know,
Only
yeah.
he would know.
Right.
So Amara asks Armando to stay, basically begs him
And she's about to do something. Oh, man, is she about to do something?
She is a widow. She wants this hunk of a man to not go anywhere. She tries to take off his helmet.
Hila's going to let it happen, too.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost. Got right to the end. And Armando stops O'Mara from taking off his helmet. We then get a cut shot of a bounty hunter scoping in some sort of a long rifle, taking a shot at our Mandalorian, but quickly he pans over to his real goal, which is our baby Yoda.
Yeah, I found that interesting, though. The bounty's not even out on our boy at all.
Right.
Like, he disappeared, but they're still 100% focused on killing Iota, which in the first episode, it was bringing him alive if you can. And now it's just take him out. It's shifted to they don't even want him alive at all.
I'm just being pragmatic. So, he would have killed baby Yoda.
A shot is
he would have
fired.
been dead.
And then Armando turns around, and then it pans to Cara sitting there with a smoking gun.
Now, when this happened, I really thought that,
that he fired.
That he fired.
Right.
And
Dude, the internet would have exploded.
No.
Maybe
I swore we were getting a baby Yoda
Kylo style
just
stopping.
holding
Oh,
the-
man, that would have been so
I didn't even think about
I
that. That would have been amazing.
swore that's what we were getting.
I
And
thought he was
My
gonna die.
brain would have exploded. I would have
Dude.
been like, what?
I swore that's what was happening.
I didn't even think about that, Connor. Wow.
Do we have that? We don't have that anywhere other in canon of people
That was
stopping.
a power I had never seen.
No, but then, then it starts showing up in video games. But wasn't it shown in? There was another piece of canon.
No, you're thinking of Star Wars theories. Vader.
Oh yeah, I am.
Vader stops all the bullets.
Right, all of the blaster bolts.
All of them. You know,
and then shoots them back, doesn't he? Like reject.
He rejects them back. And if we talk about Kylo for this split second, that's like an immense amount of concentration.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of shows us if we want to completely take Rey's Mary Sue-ness out, because apparently you don't have to, train to do anything. We're
Dude,
gonna gloss over that.
I heard something new today when I was reading about Rey's psychometry power, where she touches Luke's lightsaber and flashes.
Yeah.
Somebody else said that not only does she take the memory of something, but she learns the abilities, and that's the explanation is how she got so good with the Force and lightsabers and everything. She was learning those skills through the Force when she just touched stuff.
Well, so now that you're saying that, I've always wondered about the scene where Kylo takes Rey and he's interrogating her in Force Awakens.
And then she ends
can
up
do it to
reading
him.
his mind, yeah.
She ends up reading his mind.
Yeah.
But then we find out in Last Jedi that it's Snoke is the one that melded their minds together. But due to that explanation, if their minds are brought together regardless, shouldn't she be able to get
that form of Force
So she's
power,
Rogue
the
from X-Men is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay. So after this, Cara kills the bounty hunter. Baby Yoda is not dead. Thank goodness.
Who they refer to as a male multiple times.
Oh, you
Baby-
did point that out.
Yeah, baby, it's all
Oh, yeah.
he will
Mhm.
be
He, the
fine
kid.
here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So our
Yeah.
baby Yoda is definitely a boy. There's no Yaddle. It is Yoda.
It is Yoda. Cara kills this bounty hunter. Our Mandalorian then destroys the tracking fob that was after him. Mando and Cara have a conversation. It is no longer safe. He cannot leave Baby Yoda here. It's just not possible. More will come, they say. He then has to tell the village farewell. A touching moment takes place between our Baby Yoda and some of the village children.
There are a lot of kids in that village. I
There
counted
are.
like 12.
What else is there to do for their parents?
Krill farm and have kids.
Yep.
That's it. And that's it. That's it. That's the end. That's it. Goodbye.
It wasn't the most action-packed episode.
I loved it though. I thought
It had probably, I think, more dialogue and character building, though, in this episode than the previous three together, almost.
This episode I saw got so much flack on Facebook.
Really?
So much. And I mean,
this is not the way.
this is not the way. It's.
I mean, I
it's,
think,
I know it's Star Wars as a whole right now,
yeah, it's not the
but
greatest fan base. They like to destroy things.
but if you take, I would say that most Star Wars fans do not seek out additional information.
Mm-hmm.
They don't read books.
Right.
They're not watching Clone
Surface
Wars.
fans.
They're not watching, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Right.
just they don't look into the
They're
deeper
seeing Star
stuff.
Wars from a certain point of view.
Yeah, and probably because of that, they don't understand long-term development. So from that point of view, the narrow view of the Jedi.
Every single series show that has ever been on the air or streaming always has, quote unquote,
a building episode,
filler episodes or whatever the case may be.
But would you classify this as filler?
No, I
don't think this is
I
even
loved
filler.
everything about this episode because it shows the humanity of our Mandalorian.
There you go.
And what you pointed
it's character building.
Yeah.
Well, what you pointed out last week, Connor, about character development. You're able to do this over a long period of time. You end up caring immensely about these characters. You can see every side of their humanity, or
especially
not their humanity.
Coming off of such an amazing high action, high impact episode previously with all of the Mandalorians, and it ends with them rocket packing in to save the day. Like, this was a good change of pace, I thought.
But we had a lot of action too. I mean, it was...
Yeah, but I mean, this was definitely the slower, and it was a lot more just...
Right.
And it's not a bad thing. It's the character building is what's going to make you identify with our boy going forward. Like, you need this to actually appreciate it.
It was so funny. Some of the things that people were saying is they were blaming this on being a female director because Bryce Howard.
This is Ron Howard's daughter. That director.
Yeah, Bryce Howard. And it was absolutely hilarious because I'm like, you guys realize that Deborah Chow did last episode, and that's like, quote, the best episode. Yeah, no, the script. Yeah, she's not. Yeah,
she's directing.
She's directing.
Was
only.
Already going to happen. She directed it.
Yeah, it's. I don't know, man. People.
You're always gonna have the toxic fan base, but you know what? All things Star Wars, you have to love it because we're, like you said earlier this month, Connor. I mean, we're in a golden age of Star Wars. We have a lot coming out. With Disney Plus, Rise of Skywalker, you have an Obi-Wan series, Cassian K2SO series. They could do, with what like Marvel does with all these different crossovers, like what happens in the movies affects the TV series. We could have TV series crossovers, I mean, who knows? Maybe Obi-Wan can make an appearance in this show. I mean, that would be mind-blowing. So it would shut up all the naysayers and we just gotta take it as it comes. And I'm sure Jon Favreau, the master writer director that he is, has a lot in store for us. So let's just see how it goes.
I will say, as a devil's advocate, this was my least favorite, but that does not mean I did not like it.
It's my second.
I've
least
loved
favorite.
all of them. I love this episode, but of them, this is probably my least favorite.
For me,
if that makes sense.
It's number 3, number 1, number 2, number 4. No, sorry. Switch 4 and 2. That's where I put it. What you
was
said
vague
was
and
unconvincing.
2 probably was not as much going on, but in my head, I see episode 1 and 2
put together
because they came out
in
the same week. They came
yeah.
out a couple days apart from each other, so I kind of meshed that story together.
You have to separate 1 and 2.
You have to because we're on chapter 4 right now.
No.
So
if
just
that's the
things.
case, then yeah.
I can see that how somebody explained it in a way that they were saying that probably the entirety of episode 1 was one episode. That was the pilot.
Right.
They just chopped it in half.
And they chopped it in half because Baby Yoda being Force sensitive. Like, my goodness.
That was the best way to end it. Like, that reaction wouldn't have happened if you had that in the middle of an episode.
Exactly. So.
Just say one more thing about the golden age of Star Wars and what we said earlier about Surface fans. My coworker, Barb White, we were talking at lunch this week.
Russell with the shout-outs.
I'm not saying it, though, so it doesn't count. But she was saying she is not a Star Wars fan in the least. But her and her husband have been just having a great time with The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, you don't have to be a deep devoted fan. You don't have to be a deep fan. And this show is opening up Star Wars to a lot more people. So our fan base is going to grow. And that can only be a good thing. That just means more Star Wars, more content for us. I mean, us as deep Star Wars fans, I mean, Connor, Justin, and I live and breathe it. I mean, we're doing a podcast, for goodness sakes. I mean, it's very deep for us. But then we have all this content coming on. So the more and more people that get on board, it's just going to be better for us in the long run. So let's try and keep the naysayers down a little bit.
Speaking of naysayers,
remain positive.
Give us the story.
Oh, man.
Don't keep your stories in a bushel basket.
They are not.
Don't keep your story in a krill basket.
So this was a certain day. It was a very hard day at work. Came home. All I wanted to do
What's
was...
the era? What era Russell is this?
This is...
young Russell, single Russell, married, no kid Russell, married with kid Russell. Set the stage.
This is
Build your story.
This is a few years ago.
This was earlier today.
This was earlier today. These embarrassing moments happen every day.
It was my Friday.
I had to really pick and choose. A few years ago, Russell and Whitney married. No kid, no Jaina.
It was a simpler time.
It was a simpler time.
With way more money.
We still had our lovely dog, Big Mac. He is a gorgeous golden doodle. We love him with all of our heart. But Big Mac, he is a hyper dog. So I get home from work, and I think it was an excruciatingly busy day, as it always is, and how these stories always start. I open the door, and lo and behold, it hits me in the face like a pile of bricks. Stinky. Oh, how stinky bricks. Big Mac had diarrhea in his crate. And the house was marinating all day in this smell.
Poor Big Mac.
I could not
He's
breathe.
just laying in his own doo-doo.
It was terrible. He was rolling around in it. His water, I don't know, a separate dish, somehow the poop had gotten into water and the water had spilled over.
Drank the water.
It became this slushy... It's what I would imagine a sewer would look like.
And Big Mac's like you said, he's a golden doodle, so he's all curly, so all that
just cake.
Nastiness. Yeah.
It looks like Chewie in Rogue One.
So as I'm walking around
Solo.
Or Solo, yeah. Sorry.
Oh man. So as I'm walking around, I can barely breathe. I had to go turn the AC fan on just to circulate, open a couple windows, open the door. Anyway, so I'm getting him outside. I take him out back. I'm like, what am I going to do with this?
Tell me you slip in this poop.
Can you just let me talk?
Tell me you slip.
This is hard enough to say. So I literally carry him through the house. Not carry him, but lead him through the house. So again, I have poo-poo dog prints through my house.
The cutest.
I go out to the backyard and I get the hose.
Got doo-doo prints.
And hook it up. And again, it had just rained, so it was slippery. Plus, I have a hose, and I am spraying this dog down. And he is acting. I'm literally like I'm tortured.
Dramatic dog.
He is dramatic. You look at him wrong, and he'll cower and pee himself. I mean, it's terrible.
This dog, if you ever meet him, he has never, in the slightest, ever been mistreated. But it's like you said, if you just look at him wrong, it is like...
I love him to death, but he's...
It's like you rescued
everyone
an
who's ever
abused
had a
dog.
dog. Yeah. So, yes, what happens is I slip, as Connor brought out, land, and not only do I sprain my ankle, the worst sprain I have ever had in my life, but this dog gets off of the leash and books it. I don't have a fence. I did not have. I have a fenced in back here now.
Have the fence then.
No. So this dog just books it, and I'm literally hobbling, chasing after this dog,
and doo-doo water stained clothes,
and I am covered in exactly doo-doo water stained clothes. I am screaming expletives.
Like what?
This is a clean podcast, so I won't repeat what I said. But I am so upset. Everybody comes out of their door. I feel like it's that moment in a movie where everyone is just opening bringing up the shades, opening the doors. What's going on out there?
The burbs. Like you're in the burbs. Tom Hanks.
Yeah, everyone's
worst day of my life.
Man, that was way better than my story.
I don't understand how you're embarrassed though.
That's a good funny story.
It's a funny story.
Why are you? Why does
I was
embarrassed
because not only did they...
Well, his neighbors saw him covered.
All of my neighbors, Mark, shout out to Mark, my neighbor across the street. Love the guy, great guy. We had a long talk about it, but like I said, worse sprain. So I have to deal with this sprain, and why I have to tell my boss the next day why I'm hobbling around the office.
Okay, yeah. See, then it gets.
What do I say? I slipped in some poop water
No.
washing my dog in the backyard. Owsie's howling and screaming like I'm abusing him and ripping his skin off.
Russell's like, I tripped downstairs. Russell, you don't have stairs.
Yeah.
And
I have a ranch.
And that's where it came from.
Anyways, great
That's a good
story.
story.
That was a good story. Well, guys, that was it for Chapter 4 of The Mandalorian. Thank you for joining with us and sticking around to hear Russell's embarrassing story. That was a good story.
It was.
I liked that one. Sorry for spoiling a little bit. It had to go that way. I thought it was going where you were going to slip in the house.
That was a pure guess, too. That wasn't like you did not know where that was going.
I thought you were...
I feel like you podcast for a living. You just know where the story's going right away.
Man, hey, maybe one day I will be. All right, guys. Well, we will be back at you Monday. We have a bonus episode recorded, actually. Me, Natasha, my wife, and my cousin, Chelsea, we sat down to talk about Disney things.
From the wild, wild lands of Fort Wilderness.
Yeah, we were at Fort Wilderness this past week, so we decided what better chance to talk about Disney. So keep a lookout. That will be a bonus episode. It will be entitled actual bonus episode, so you won't mix it up with any of the Mandalorian talk. So, all right, guys, thank you for being with us. Once again, this was It's KonKon, followed by
Russell Allen, Magistrate.
Justin Baker.
And we will see you next week.
Mahalo.